Hey everyone, it's Nux, and today I'm here with the first Sonic update of 2020. For those of you who are new to the channel, this update series is done so that I can keep you guys updated as to my current day thoughts on the Sonic series as we wait for mainline installments and as I work on other big Sonic video projects as well. Before we begin though, I just want to tell you guys to make sure you check out my recent two videos, the Remaking Sonic Adventure 2 collab with 𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗳𝗲 and episode 2 of the New Super Gaming Squad podcast. The Sonic Adventure 2 remake collab was a hefty project that took a lot of time and effort from both me and 𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗳𝗲. So be sure to check the video out, leave a like, leave your thoughts in a comment, and help spread the video around so that it gets the traction it deserves. Also, be sure to check out the podcast because there was quite a bit of time spent in it talking about the Sonic movie more in greater detail. The video has timestamps in the comment section to skip around, so if you just want to hear about my detailed impressions on the Sonic movie, check that out. Speaking of the Sonic movie, I think that is a good place to start for this update, as it is basically the biggest thing that's happened with the Blue Blur in recent times. So I've now seen the Sonic movie twice, once with friends and once with close family. And after seeing the movie and sitting on what I think about it, I've come to the conclusion that the movie is basically very average and okay. Like, it was definitely far from the disaster I was expecting it to be. I was surprisingly wrong on that, but it was also a lot more dry and safe than I was expecting as well. And that's probably the most brutally honest thing I can say about it. It is painfully safe and just bizarre. Pretty much the story centers on Sonic being lonely due to having to live a quiet life on Earth, and we don't get much as far as elements from the actual games. Jim Carrey definitely did Robotnik, aka Dr. Eggman, a lot more justice than I was expecting, but he still only got so much time to really bring out the wacky scientist we all know. We don't get much on Sonic as this alien creature to Earth either, due to the movie being bogged up by the stereotypical human dynamic and subplots, such as wacky bar fights, crazy road trips, and all that stuff. Like, if you were mostly looking forward to Sonic running around colorful and exciting worlds, fighting crazy enemies, and having cool interactions with his friends from the actual game series, it definitely isn't a movie for you. It mostly just plays into the most basic elements of the Sonic series, and it kinda drives me insane. Because you all know how much I've hated this series, clinging to its roots and nothing else. But despite my personal nitpicks with this movie, it did do most of the basic elements of the series some justice. What with the improved redesign, pretty good Jim Carrey Eggman performance, and some surprisingly solid action moments as well. So overall, this movie did its job in reintroducing Sonic the Hedgehog to the world in his first ever feature-length live-action film. So I guess it was cool in that sense, but I just wanted something more ambitious as a hardcore fan of the series. And some people would argue that the movie not being ambitious was a key to the movie's success, which is really stupid to me because there's been plenty of successful films that have had very implausible visions for their time that ended up great. And Sonic himself is from a series that took risk and did ambitious things. Granted, for better or for worse, but I just hate Sonic always playing it safe these days. So boring and soulless. So my final score would have to be a C- or C+. The movie is really dragged down by the weak, been there, done that, live action CGI buddy film format, but Sonic and Eggman were handled really well, and I think the movie had a lot more respect for the property than I was initially expecting. And hey, the movie itself sets up some pretty interesting things that could go down in the sequels. So maybe as this new film franchise continues, it will slowly become more and more what I want to see from a Sonic movie, which is something I can go into detail with in another video. So the Sonic movie actually ended up being pretty dang successful. It surpassed Detective Pikachu in sales somehow, and ended up becoming the highest grossing video game movie, well, ever. which is insane. Sonic not only defeated Pokemon in something, but he ended up topping the entire video game movie genre. That's pretty impressive for the little blue guy. So with all these positive vibes in the Sonic series right now, with new and old fans alike, you'd think that my mood with Sonic would be pretty positive too, right? Well, you should know otherwise by now, because I still haven't fully forgiven this series for all the horribleness that was the entirety of the 2010 era of Sonic. And I still don't think Sega has recovered as a studio and fully learned what needs to be done to improve this brand as a video game series. Like, whether or not I continue to mess with this series is literally just going to be based on whether or not Sega sticks to their same old tricks they've pulled for years now, or actually does something that gives this series some life again. Right now, aside from this movie, there is not much of relevance going on in the Sonic community, and even the movie is quickly fading out of people's minds since there was only so much to talk about. Yeah, it's still lurking a bit as a topic in the community because of how big it is, but besides that, the last two recent games we had was Team Sonic Racing and Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo Olympics. Team Sonic Racing quickly fell out of the public eye because it was a poorly crafted racer compared to its competitors like Crash Team Racing and even Mario Kart. The best thing about the game is that it did have some pretty banging music, but with a worthless online system that still hasn't been updated, a god-awful story that gives free riders a run for its money, and just clearly watered down gameplay compared to its predecessors like Sega All-Stars Transformed, it just didn't have the makings to be a proper Sonic Racing spin-off that gives us something to enjoy until the next mainline game. Then you have Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo Olympics, which basically was irrelevant on release. The game is pretty much similar to previous installments and does very little to make it much more interesting. Heck, the game still has the same base roster as the last few entries, and the only way to even play as some of the new characters is in the form of guest characters who are only playable for one event. And I'm not even going to get into the fact that they found a way to get Classic Sonic in there. So yeah, the Mario and Sonic Olympics series at this point is just a series that exists. And I don't know why. Like, at least this new one was slightly better than the garbage heap that were the last few entries, but I just gotta ask why Nintendo and Sega doesn't just do a proper collab at this point. It's something people have wanted for ages now, but filler games are filler, I guess. Also, the actual Tokyo Olympics got delayed due to this whole virus situation, so this game isn't even accurate anymore. So much for 2020. Let's see what else is going on in the franchise. Oh yeah, the IDW Comics are still a thing, surprisingly. Honestly, I don't have much to say here because I just don't care. I see a lot of Sonic fans praise these comics and claim them to be miles better than the games right now, but in some aspects they're not any better than Archie, just a few story arcs before their run with the Sonic comics ended. The mischaracterization of multiple characters is still a thing. The current storylines and directions just feel random and not well organized. There's constant pointless OCs introduced, there's dumb weird restrictions still, and it's funny to me that Infinite was nowhere to be seen in the arc that was loosely based on Sonic Forces, effectively ruining his second chance. But yet we can still deal with the Deadly Six all the time because they deserve a second chance, of course. It's not like they're super bad, rip-off, lame villains either. Ugh. Like, I just can't bring myself to give a care about the comics right now because they're just so uninteresting, and I don't want to get stuck ranting about the same old things I did back with Archie as it was on death's door. Maybe in the future I'll give the IDW Comics a proper and fair look to see if they're any good, but otherwise, I really do not care right now. Alright, so I guess that brings us to the final topic of this video, and the main thing that you all are interested in hearing about. And that is what my mindset is going into the 30th anniversary of Sonic and the next mainline title. Now, when it comes to what my expectations are, I basically have none, because I just can't do this to myself again. I refuse to fall for the same trap of excitement that I fell into when I was hyping up the 25th anniversary of Sonic. Like, a lot of what I want to see in the next mainline title is pretty much the same stuff that I wanted to see in that last anniversary. I want a good, actually brand new, fully 3D ambitious Sonic game that has some actual meat to it for us to enjoy. But at this point, I just feel like it's a pipe dream now, especially with the movie's success and how safe the movie played it. I think Sega and Sonic Team are going to fall into the same trap of playing it safe by once again appealing to the classic 2D fans mostly with some game with nostalgia as its core. Then throwing a half-baked quote-unquote 3D game at us 3D fans with a game that has classic 2D stuff in it anyway. And with how we've seen no signs of Sega trying to rebuild Sonic Team after what happened to its crew post the events of Sonic Forces, I feel like it's going to be worse in the modern Sonic game aspect, which is why I refuse to have my heart broken again, and I'm just expecting the worst on that front. I'm willing to wait for this game as long as need be when it comes to its development, but if Sega shows to us once again that even with all the development time possible, they can't make a good game, I am so done. I'm tired of having to wait years for a Sonic game only to be given mediocrity for the quote-unquote 3D game and unprogressive blind nostalgia for the 2D game front. Now, of course, Sonic Mania was still a great Sonic game, and maybe if the team that did Sonic Mania returns to make a new 2D game, that will be great as well. But if it's another 2D game heavily built around nostalgia like Sonic Mania, I'm not giving a single crap. If it's a 2D game by Sonic Team, I'm especially going to be wary because I don't trust their 2D gameplay anymore. Like, when it comes to 2D Sonic, it needs to especially be ambitious with some new ideas in order for me to fall into hype with another one, because I'm really burned out on them. I'll always love 2D Sonic, of course, and will probably always talk about them, but my patience is up with classic style 2D being the main thing this series relies on. Basically, if we get yet another 2D game with nothing but a bunch of old zones and a bunch of callbacks, and in a mediocre 3D game, I'm going to lose my mind, I swear. And of course, the big speculated thing that people want to see is a Sonic Adventure remake, and I already have plenty of videos giving my thoughts on that. But to summarize, if they did choose to remake an old game like Sonic Adventure, they had better do it right. Please, for the love that is what is left of 3D Sonic, do not screw up remaking the adventure games, because if they do, we're really screwed. So, in short, I have zero faith in Sonic Team and Sega, unless by some miracle they magically got their act together along the way to the 30th anniversary. But I'm not falling for their tricks again. We only hope for a really solid game that involves Sonic. Like, the only way I have faith for another new Sonic game if it's outsourced to another developer with more competence. But I guess we'll wait to see. But just know my hopes are lower than my hopes that the Earthbound series will return from the dead anytime soon. Supposedly we were supposed to get some news at the next South by Southwest Sonic panel, but it was postponed due to this whole virus thing that's been going around lately, so they're preparing a digital presentation in April now, and if that's where we get news of the next big Sonic project, you can bet that I will be on that ASAP. Alright guys, and that about covers everything that I want to with this video. If there's any recent Sonic topics that I didn't talk about that you want to know my thoughts on, let me know in the comments. And also be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new to it for more updates, whether they be positive or negative. This has been 𝗃𝗲𝗳𝗲𝗀, and I'm out. Peace.